Hello viewers, Flash Motorsport here and welcome to Le Mans. Now in this video we're going to have a look at the new penalty system after it's had its first update. This update is meant to increase the accuracy in assigning faults to side swipes. So as the race starts, I started pretty much mid-pack. I wanted to see where we were going to lie. I didn't qualify, looking at see where the carnage is going to be and how the system is going to interpret who is right or wrong. I'll get rear-ended a couple of times here. I do not believe the person behind got a penalty for it. But if you watch the Honda and the Hyundai here, this is quite an important moment. They're both battling to get back on the track, and the Honda does not pull off to tuck in behind the Hyundai, and the Hyundai gets punted off and into me. If you watch P4 now, they receive a 1 second penalty for shunting that car off. It wasn't due to the off track. We're pretty sure they got that earlier. I think it's more down to having a side swipe collision with the Hyundai. You see another player's just gone off the track there, and the person who shunted him off, Rusty Starfish, received a 4.5 second penalty for that. Now replays are working. I downloaded a replay earlier and it worked. I was so impressed, but it's still terrible. You can't change, well, I couldn't change the cars I was viewing, or the camera angles just aren't the best. But anyway, let's go and look at the replay and start the race again and see where it all kicks off. My first port call to check is the Audi to my right hand side that came round me and suddenly got shoved off the track. Now, if I went through the replay quite a few times, and it looks like an issue with netcode where the game presumed we're going to collide, but we don't actually collide. Then the game overreacted and sent the Audi off into the spinning loop of fun and disaster. The next clip is of the Honda and the Hyundai situation. Now the Honda and the Hyundai situation could have been totally avoided if the Honda backed off and let the Hyundai have that position. If you watch again closely, they both do go off the track. The Audi on the right hand side gives them a bit of room, but the Honda is just not giving up with the Hyundai and keeps pushing the tail out of them. Thus, the Hyundai gets punted off the track, which quite rightfully so, the Honda gets a penalty. In reality, I would have thought the Honda would have got a more severe penalty than the second they received, due to how severe it affected the other driver just by not tucking in behind them and really basically ramming them off the track. I mean, you could argue the fact that the Hyundai could have moved over to the right as well and let the Honda rejoin, but I don't know the steering angle of that vehicle. It could have already been fighting to trying to keep the car straight, and the Honda just basically nudged it just enough to push him right out of the way. Next clip is of the Audi getting shoved off the track. Now the Audi being shoved off the track, that player did get a huge penalty, 4.5 seconds for shoving them off the track. And let's have a look closer and see who really is at fault for shoving them off the track. It's quite hard to tell really, so let's get a little bit closer. By the looks of it, it looks like the Audi came from the left hand side and went over the front end of the other vehicle. I could be wrong, of course, but I can't change my replay to replay from that car. I've tried, I press all the buttons, nothing wants to work. Thank you, Forza. But if it was an intentional push off the track, 4.5 seconds would be quite well justified. And the 4.5 seconds is what I would have expected that Honda to receive. As we're smashing down the straight here, we're setting up for our next clip further down to see where everybody packs up. I am not racing on this track per se to win the race or anything like that. I'm trying to stay with the people that's creating the most issues and judging the penalty system, how it is working. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm no steward here. I'm just going by, you know, guesswork of what I know, what's right and wrong, and what's a bit more of common sense and stupidity. In behind me is the Audi. They've massively caught up. I'm going to get out of their way, let them have that slipstream. I'll probably bump draft them coming down here, providing, yeah, I'm not going to bump draft them. They got a good lead on me. They got a good run out. But I want them to have that position back and be able to fight back for the pack in front. I'm not going to create a battle I don't need to be part of. So the Audi is absolutely hammering down here. But as we're coming up to the end of this fast straight section, a bit more carnage ensues with the Audi and the two players in P1 and 2. The Honda to my left is a bit all over the shop. Left, right, what side of the track you want, I don't know. Just take the middle up, it's perfectly fine. I'll go around you then. You know, pick a lane, man, pick a lane. As we're coming down here, you can see now all mannerism of interesting fun has kicked off. And in the replay, it's quite funny to watch, because when you're live racing, you don't actually see cars going into each other, but in the replays, they're literally going into each other. So let's reverse back in time, have a look at where all this really kicked off. So if you have a look, the white car in the middle does not follow the path through. What I mean by that is they don't follow the path of the road, or like if you follow the lines of the road, they don't follow the curvature of the road. Thus, this then takes out the Audi to their left hand side. And because they're taking out the Audi to the left hand side, I don't know whether it was their intention to block the Audi to the right hand side, or was it a reaction move due to the chaos that caused on the left. But then they also take out the Audi to the right hand side as well. The whole situation was a manner of, oh my gosh, that is funny, and everybody is everywhere. Look at the car, it's inside of it. It's inside of it. Like I say, it's hard to tell whether it was a reactionary braking due to hitting the Audi to the left, or was it a reactionary braking to knowing there's an Audi about to cut up the inside to the right. It really is hard to tell what their perspective is due to having cars all around them. But it is what it is, and let me know what you think about what I've said down below. I know a lot of you have disagreed to the fact that the penalty system is better now. It's definitely giving out a lot more penalties. I mean, we didn't even make a minute of the race and 3 people around me had penalties by the time it was 38 seconds in. It was literally handing them out on a cheese board. Now, I read a lot of your comments here as well. Here's a few of them are listed up now. And I'm quite curious as to the fact of some people get penalties for side swipes that's far out of their control. Now, I am wondering if it's calculating the steering angle of the cars when they're colliding. So if you're getting a side swipe from the left and you steer tighter to the left to try and keep your car under control, is that then making the penalty system think that you're intentionally ramming the car on the inside when you are not? Because the car on the inside will reduce the steering angle because they no longer need to compensate for the sharp turn due to obviously using you to turn the vehicle for them. So I wonder if that is an issue underlying as well. And also, a lot of you did say the penalty system is much better. You'd rather have a stricter penalty system and it encouraging cleaner races than a penalty system that really was against the players that were being targeted. I mean, I know a lot of you have also said that there are players out there that know how to abuse the penalty system, push you off the track, and you're the one that gets a penalty and not them. But that's all going to happen in every game where people know the little way throughs and things like that. It is just the way it is. Like now, the car to my right hand side, although has a 4-second penalty, we are having a bit of door banging, a bit of door nudging, and we're not getting penalties for it. And I've noticed that in the last few races I've done, that it's not really affecting. So I'm unsure how to find ways to abuse the system to get myself a penalty without being a purposeful fault. I mean, that car's just got pushed off the track there. You can see on the screen, I did not touch them. There was no contact at the top of that screen, but I have no idea what punted that person off, besides probably a bit of netcode in. You can see it says port network at the top. My network is pretty good. It's probably your servers that are pretty bad, or the location I am in compared to where the server is, thus creating like a larger ping, whatever. But that person got punted off and there was no contact made by me. So, unsure what happened there. But let me know if you have any more experiences down in the comments below about the penalty system. Let me know if you agree with what I've said about how the side swipes being miscalculated due to your steering angle compared to the other player's steering angle. If you're the ones following a line and they come up the inside and clout you one, or up the outside and clout you one. Let me know on your experiences down below. Also, if you enjoy what I'm doing here, make sure you hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Jumping ahead in time, I'm in P3 position coming up to the end of the race on the last lap. As you can see, the person in the yellow Audi that got bunted off quite heavily to start with is 25 seconds ahead. I really wasn't competing in this race. I was more having a watch out on what's going on around me. But if you have a look at this race now, P1 got a 50.5 second penalty. The one behind me still has the 4-second penalty. And look at how many people left this race. Everything from P8 onwards did not finish. And there's a person there in P6 that has 11.2 second penalty. 11.7 second penalty. My mistake. Wow. I mean, why? How on earth do you occur 11.7 seconds worth of penalties? I mean, the Honda in P7 is still going. And yeah, I gotta be honest, they did not finish before the end of the race. So if you have a look now, they are still going, and the game gave up before they even crossed the finish line. So yeah, I have no idea what the heck crack was with this race towards the end, but my gosh. On to the next race. We're at Laguna Seca. It is daylight and it is dry, and I didn't qualify again. So let's have a look where we're going. The Honda didn't bother starting. They obviously forgot where the pedal was, or they're going to get a cup of tea. Overtook the Mercedes because they're quicker off the line. I stuck with Lightman Jim and Decool Theory. Get a little bit of a hit from behind, but again, the player and myself do not receive a penalty for it. Just, like I say, it's just odd how people are getting totally different experiences, and I've been on here all day trying to replicate the experiences you guys are getting, and I have had zero joy. Looking up between these two, I am going actually quite a lot quicker than them, but the problem I have is I'm trying to find a safe overtaking spot, and I'm coming out this corner much better, and here is where I'm going to make my move. I'm looking for it. Nope, I back out. I don't want to get punted off the track or the penalty myself, but this is where I make my move. Glorious move straight up the inside of the Audi. I'm powering all the way up the hill to the corkscrew at the top of the hill, braking late and just about braving it, getting it into that corner, and I'm just ahead of the goal, diving it down the other side, and I make that glorious move work. Never have I overtaken someone from the bottom of that hill all the way up just like that, and I think that was an absolute beautiful move to make. Anyway, coming down to the last corner of the track, braking just before the 200 board because I overcook it like I do, and turning in. Second gear, coming out the corner, powering down over the start and finish line. I'm already 0.8 seconds ahead of Decool Theory behind me, which is quite nice because I don't want them in my slipstream. Looking out for the cones on the right hand side as your first start of the braking point, down the second gear, rub this in the curb. You can take the darker path. I just like taking the tighter turn because I can come out the corner quicker. Coming back over the left hand side, braking at the 200 marker, leaving it in third gear, rubbing the right hand curb and coming back over to your left. Keeping on your left hand side, letting off the throttle in fourth gear, letting it coast round to the right, just like that, and power on. Now, I have no idea what happened with me in this race. I turned out to be all thumbs and toes in this one. I was a bit stumbly, and it took me about 4 or 5 laps to actually get into the rhythm of it. I was quite slow, very off the pace, and I just couldn't drive. I really couldn't. I have no idea why I was all over the shop, and I became more and more frustrated and more rigid that I just couldn't get it right. And then suddenly something snapped in me and said, you know what, stop being a look, you can drive, and I ended up being a lot quicker overall. But like I say, sometimes you get into this weird rhythm where you just can't drive. Fingers don't seem to work, they all turn into big thumbs, like off Spy Kids, you know, the big thumb thingies. it just doesn't work out, you know. But anyway, again, looking out just before the 200 board, braking down a second gear, and that is a much better line to take. I'm powering on down here. End of lap 2, we are now 4 seconds ahead from the cars behind. I'm not too sure what the crack was with this race. There wasn't really many of us in a lobby, and I think it came to a point where we were literally the leftovers shoved into a lobby because we couldn't fit in anywhere else. That's what it seemed to feel like, because like I say, end of lap 2, start of lap 3, I'm now 5 seconds ahead. Looking left and side for the 200 board, dab of the brakes, get the nose down onto the front wheels, sliding it in. You can still see I'm sliding it a bit too much, just not getting it right. Into fourth gear, coasting it round, clipping the curbs on both sides and powering on as soon as you're halfway through that curve. Coming over to your right hand side, looking at 200 marker, braking down to third gear, 75 miles per hour, and up the hill we go. You're looking between 70 and 75, you clip it at 70 and then power out, you're pretty good. 200 marker, braking again and going up the inside of that curve. You could do that about 90 miles per hour, and you can see I managed to do it slower and mess up more. Again, all thumbs today. Braking at the brow of the hill down to second gear, coming up through the corkscrew. I tab it into third gear to reduce the wheel spin, and into fourth gear coming around this curve here. Rub this inner sausage just like that, and you can power on. As soon as you hit that inner curb, power on and come out to the outside. Brake in, rub the inner sausage, and power on again through the last corner. Braking just before the 200 board and turning in just like that. It's not too bad. I'm starting to warm up, starting to get into a bit of a rhythm, and starting to remember I'm actually a human. Start of lap 9. This is where I'm going to set my fastest lap overall. I've already been to the pits. I've gotten for another set of medium tyres, and I didn't take on any fuel. Braking just after the start of the cones, down to second gear, rubbing this in the curb just like that, and rub this curb like that, and then power on out the other side. Coming back over to your left hand side, you want to get the weight onto the front wheels, rub this right hand curb, and as soon as you're through the right hand curbs, power on and out the other side. Keeping to your left hand side, coasting it round, rub the sausage and power on through into fourth gear, and along the straight we go. We're 0.59 seconds ahead of my previous lap. Looking at a 200 board, braking down the third gear, looking at about 75 miles an hour. Rub that inner curb. As soon as you touch that inner curb, power on and up the hill we go. Keep to your right hand side again, looking for the 200 marker, braking down to about 90 miles per hour and power on up the hill, and that was the sweet spot I did just there. Coming up to the brow of the hill, I lab on the brakes and then I dab on the brakes again just to get the car slowed down. Into third gear, through the corkscrew and down the hill we go. Into fourth gear, following the darker part of the track, rub this inner curb and power on as soon as you rub the inner curb. Scrubbing the tyres a little bit, but I'm not too fussed. Coming up to our last lap, and then back over to the right hand side for the 200 marker, braking down to second gear. As you can see throughout the whole race now, I'm 21 seconds ahead from P2 position and 40 seconds ahead nearly from the player in P4. It says there's 6 players in this race, so there's obviously a few further behind than that. Braking down to second gear, currently inside, we're getting to 23 seconds ahead from the cars behind. Absolutely incredible lead, and to be fair, actually on this last lap I pretty much coasting it round. I wasn't really going to give it my all, especially if I'm this far ahead. I'd rather just take a little step back, relax my way through, try and get my lines a bit better than what I've been doing before, whilst also staying on the track, because 23 seconds if you go on meter wall can be eaten up pretty quickly. Again, it's funny how the flip side of this race, I understand there's less players in this lobby, but as you can see, the skill level wasn't the same as mine, for example, and there's no penalties on the screen. No penalties on the screen, you know, and yes, okay, they are spread out a bit now, but at the beginning of the race, they wasn't as spread out. We was all together, quite close. A car rear-ended me or went up the inside a little bit, and again, no penalties. So really, the system is still not there, but I think it's it likes me for some reason. The penalty system likes me, and yeah, I give it chocolate bars once a week. Anyway, coming over to the end of the race, we gained a P1 position. We won P1 position. Obviously, we didn't qualify, but there we go. Thank you all for watching, and I shall see you all next time. Goodbye.